is a more competition banking question, just briefly. Earlier this week, Oxfam published a report opening the vaults, which showed that 20 of Europe's largest banks register more than a quarter of their profits in tax havens, Ireland and Luxembourg being two very much favoured destinations. The Commission has said that profits should be taxed where the real economic activity takes place. Will the Commission be launching an investigation following these revelations? Thank you.
I will ask Vanessa, explaining that we do not have tax havens in the European Union.
Thank you. That's exactly what I will do. I'm just going to put a bit of context around this report, the Oxfam report, because actually it was very good in the sense that it's actually thanks to the measures introduced by the EU that we now have this key data, for instance, on banks and their tax data. It's also thanks to us that we've driven this whole transparency work forward, for instance, by also pushing for public disclosure, so country-by-country reporting, public country-by-country reporting, for that to apply by all multinationals. And we've also, this summer, will be putting forward a proposal on the role of intermediaries, so including banks, when it comes to aggressive tax planning. So there was a call in by the S&D at the European Parliament, and we will soon respond to that request. I would also say, though, that on the sort of process of tax havens, I mean, for the EU, as you know, everybody's already signed up to very rigorous standards when it comes to fighting tax avoidance. And just last year, for instance, we agreed a very substantial package of tax avoidance measures known as ATAD, and I'm very happy to brief you on the sidelines. Those are binding standards that really clamp down on the kind of most common methods of corporate tax avoidance. In addition, on tax havens, we've also launched this whole new work stream, our external strategy in terms of dealing with third countries, non-EU countries, and we will, by the end of this year, have our first ever pan-EU list of what we call non-cooperative tax jurisdictions. And there's a whole lot of other work that we're also doing in terms of closing down loopholes when it comes to multinationals using, for instance, letterbox companies, etc., outside the EU. So the work is well in through, and I would just conclude by saying that we've achieved more under the Juncker Commission over the past 2 years in terms of clamping down on tax avoidance than over the past 2 decades. So happy to give you more greater detail on all that work on the margins.
I see full satisfaction.